Hey everyone, welcome to the 10th episode, 2024 season of the Mean Green Gridiron podcast. I'm joined once again by Carter, and we're here to talk about an actual game this week. No more bye week stuff. How you doing, Carter?
I'm good. I'm excited to be done with bye weeks and uh, get back to winning. It's been a while since we won a football game, and I would like that to change. So,
Yeah,
just looking forward to that.
yeah. We missed the 2 weeks, the week leading up to Memphis and the week leading up to Tulane. That was my bad there for the listeners at home. It was vacation, and then
That's true. We could blame you for the 2 game losing streak.
yeah,
That
I'll
was a bit.
gladly shoulder that blame if especially if it means a win this week. But no, I was gonna say like I hope this doesn't sound like cop out or not cop out. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Hope it doesn't sound like I'm lying out my ass, but I did fully expect a loss those last 2 weeks. I mean I thought it could be close. I thought we could win, but like I was like this especially the Memphis game. I was like this is where we pick up a loss. I think I didn't think that the defensive performance would be as bad. And then Tulane, I felt a little bit more optimistic about Tulane, but I still was leaning loss on that one. But I have I have a really good feeling about this week. That's how I'll open the show. Like the spread is down to Army -4, I think Memphis and Tulane were around 10-point favorites against us.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with the Vegas prediction on Daly playing or not playing, or just the people putting money are kind of thinking he might not play. I don't know, but it feels like we've had some things kind of go our way a little bit lately in terms of like health and in terms of kind of I think we're kind of settling into like the team that we're gonna have the rest of the way in terms of like okay, we've played together, we've had two-thirds of a season behind our belt. The new guys are starting to be not really playing like new guys anymore.
Mhm.
Some of the young guys are starting to play not like young guys anymore. Damon Ward had a 100-yard 2-touchdown game. uh, that was really his first big game since week one. Like, so we finally have like a good outside presence at receiver. The offensive line, it seems like they're kind of starting to get a mix of like the right five, I guess, in the right spot. So I don't know. I think this week I have a lot of optimism. I know I've come off as like the Homer optimist guy in the past, but I genuinely do feel that way in ways that I wasn't leading up to Army or Memphis and Tulane.
Sure.
What about you, Carter? How are you looking at this week? What are your thoughts heading into this one?
Well, you kind of touched on it. The glaring factor I think for this game is the health of Bryson Daly, who's been kind of the leader of this juggernaut Army offense. If you didn't watch the Army Air Force game, which I don't blame you because Air Force is either winless or close to winless, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
That Army defense played great, but they were not generating anything offensively without Bryson Daly out there. And Air Force does not particularly have a smash, shut it down kind of defense. So I don't know. I watched a good 3/4 of that game, and it felt like Army couldn't get anything going offensively. They did pull away late, like they won by like 14. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be he's very much kind of the star center of that offense. But it's not anything different from any Army team we've seen before. Obviously, it's a school we're comfortable playing against.
Yeah.
Um, I have conflicting feelings because I was very happy to add them to the American. I'm totally on board with the service schools being American members. Like that's cool. I'm a fan of that gimmick, but
Yeah.
A lot of the Army faithful on Twitter I've seen have because I was searching doing my notes earlier. I was like, let's get some scouting on Bryson Daly. Like, how are Army fans kind of feeling about this game? And pretty much all I saw on their Twitter feed was, like, we got to get Bryson healthy for Notre Dame because Army plays Notre Dame after us. And I'm like, bitch, you got a team ready to play you on Saturday. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So a little bit of some indirect smack talk from the Army fans, but no, I mean, they've got other ballers. Kanye Udo's a really good running back. Dwayne Coleman stepped in and got the job done at QB the other day. It's Army. I mean, you're not getting anything new here. They are a pound the ground kind of physical team, and I obviously it's a whole new era of both teams. I know there's still a Monken led team, but back when we played with them with Luttrell, the games were always competitive. And if I don't quote me on this, but I know the bowl game and the home game here were both like one score or like field goal, like 3 or 6 point wins for the winning team. I think we beat them by a couple scores in West Point in 2016, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, the games are always competitive. Army's fun. They bring a good crowd. This should be the best crowd we've seen all year, hopefully. I was a little bit critical of the homecoming crowd, and I still stand by that. I think the attendance was a little bit poor and indefensible for how fun our team has been, even though we've lost a couple, exciting games and a couple meaningful games in a row. I'm kind of with you. I feel good about this one, especially if Bryson Daly's out. That feels like they're going to be scrambling to, kind of go to plan B. And that it seems like a team we can catch on their toes. I know they played without him last week, but coming off the bye, I have said all year, this is the last point I'll make is that I've said all year, Coach Morris is such a good adjusting head coach, which is what we're not used to. And I really feel like with time and preparation, I feel like we'll be a little bit more ready to go this week. The Tulane game was coming off of a shootout loss, and those can always be weird. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm confident. I think it'll be a good game. I hope the crowd's good. I said it on the last pod. I don't know why this is an afternoon game. Army North Texas should always be a night game in November. I feel that deep in my soul, but it's fine. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun game. It's gonna be a lot of physical, pounded out kind of football. So,
yeah, and you mentioned obviously we played them 3 times in a 2-season span with the 2016 playing them twice, playing them at their place, beating them, and then losing the bowl game, and then 2017 winning that just crazy all-time classic with a Trevor Moore field goal at the end in 2017. That was also the last game that Jeff Wilson played.
Yes, it was.
And he went down that game. There was some dirty hit stuff kind of going on. Guyton. So that was pretty memorable game. And shout out to Jeff Wilson, who's still doing it in the NFL these days, which is pretty awesome to see. But is the Bryson Daly injury like an actual? Everything I've seen is like undisclosed injury. Like I haven't seen any.
Feels like a smokescreen.
Well, and with certain injuries, like if it's I don't know, some kind of like soft tissue thing or whatever, like depending on what the injury is, I think it kind of makes a difference because again, it's undisclosed from what I'm seeing, and you got a quarterback who gets tackled 20 to 25 times a game, not,
right.
Like Chandler Morris, we would like him to maybe get hit / tackled like 5 times a game. Daily, he taking a beating is part of the job description for him. So, that'll be interesting to see.
Did you see what they listed him as or what Monken said specifically about him?
Where he said that he's kind of in between questionable and probable.
Yeah, which is just a weird way to list that. Like, sounds like he's either good to go or he isn't. So
yeah. Again, just like the mystery of it. Like you said, it sounds like they're kind of, the messaging is like game time decision kind of thing. And, to your point, like, is your guy are you are you comfortable letting him get tackled 20 to 25 times? Like, is he ready? Can he play? Or can he? Those are kind of two different questions. Like, depending on what kind of quarterback he is. Like, can he play if he was just getting hit a few times, or can he play if he's getting hit that many times? So that that'll be interesting to see. But regardless, I think obviously the offense doesn't really change. It's the same thing. I think even their backup quarterback Coleman, I think even he's kind of nicked up a little bit too. So that'll be that's going to be obviously a big deciding factor early on. Is he going to go? Found interesting that Eric Morris said that he was recruiting Daly pretty hard at linebacker back in 2019, 2020 when he was in high school, and that he thought they were going to get him, and then Army offered him at quarterback, and he ended up going there. But he definitely has added like a really solid passing wrinkle to their offense that isn't always there. He's 629 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, no picks. He's averaging 13.4 yards per attempt. So, doesn't throw the ball a ton, but has, really had some success when they do pass it, which that makes their offense that much tougher to defend. I think, Coleman's in probably not as worried about, how much they're going to hit you over top in the passing game. But it's going to be an interesting challenge because, as we know, our defense has struggled mightily against the run the last 2 years. So
just the last 2 years, I mean,
right? Yeah, exactly. So we've seen kind of some more 3-4-ish kind of look this year. At times, I think probably expect to see something similar to that. We're still surprisingly not at that bad because we had kind of a good start against the rush. We're actually 108th in rushing yards per game allowed, which isn't good, but we're allowing we're 127th in passing yards per game. So the rushing defense has at times had some success and looked okay. But this is just going to be a different game plan altogether. Like I said, we probably see somewhere the 3-4 look. Sounds like Jaden Hill's back. Like the safeties are going to be huge. With for whoever remembers, like the 2016 game in Army, we turned them over 7 times. I remember because Adam, Mean Green Nation, his like recap article for that game was 7 turnover Army, and that made me laugh. But like one of the big factors in that game was Keyshawn McClain at safety. He had a handful of tackles for loss and forced fumbles, which if we can generate, we have to be able to generate some level of turnover, because I think these guys are probably going to pound it pretty good against us. And it's hard with their attack to like generate a lot of negative plays because they're coming so downhill and they run that offense so effectively that if we could just turn them over once or twice, I mean, that would be huge. I talk about this every week. Like, can we actually get a turnover or two? And yeah, a lot of times, unfortunately, we have not gotten turnovers, and that's really been detrimental to our chances at winning the game. But what are some things that you're looking for on our defense, whenever they have the ball this week?
So I think the most important thing is to see some success when we stack the boxes. This is obviously this is going to be like a durability test. It always is with Army. Like, I think that at some points our defense is going to get tested and how long they can stay on the field and how long they can stay in the fight. So this just seems like a team that's going to wear us down a little bit, and it worries me that I don't know. The last couple weeks, I've just seen I don't know. I think that there's some signs that our defense has been able to figure itself out and condition itself to stay in games. The fact that we lost both the last 2 games by 1 score gives me some hope. But kind of the classic, we've talked about it before, like the classic just North Texas game is one where they go down so big early, and like the defense was on the field so much early on in the Tulane game, which it didn't really feel like because they scored so fast. But I don't remember the time of possession for the first quarter, but like we barely had the ball in the first quarter at all.
I think they had about 21 minutes of the first 30 in the first half.
Yeah, it was early domination, and partially due to errors like on special teams and stuff, but still, I mean, the defense couldn't get off the field. This is not a team where you can, make that mistake. Like you don't even have I guarantee you if we go down, 14-3 or something, that's ball game. Like that is not this isn't a team you can, just barely wiggle your way past. Like their defense is tough. I mean, like they're kind of in like the Indiana camp where they've just kind of crushed all year.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about like the quality of opponents and who they haven't really played. And yeah, Army hasn't really beaten anybody, but I want to see our defense step up because this is you could argue that we're their toughest opponent yet. So
yeah,
and they've got Notre Dame right after us. So I mean, this is a big chance to I don't know if you believe in like letdown games. I mean, obviously their team's still going to try. I don't necessarily believe in all that, but there is some truth to the weirdness of college football where, maybe they overlook us. Maybe they just, for whatever reason, the energy's not there. But like, as to answer your question, as far as defense goes, like, you got to make a statement early. Like this is something that like I want to see first quarter. Like, even if you hold them to a field goal, like this is kind of a game where I kind of expect them to score every time they have the ball, and
yeah.
We're gonna have to score 50 to win this one. It'll be like a 50-40 type game, kind of like 2017. But even if you can hold them to a field goal, like hold them to 6 to 10 points in the first quarter, like maybe get a stop. Like I don't know. Army protects the ball really well. It's gonna be hard to force turnovers. So I would like to see some early signs of like life from the defense, and because if we get to the fourth quarter and it's like 37-30 and we haven't been able to get off the field, I'm not going to put any faith in them just because basically the last 2 weeks have just been the offense playing catch up to what the defense can't do. So that's kind of my main interest or point I want to see from the defense is early success.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we get any defensive success against Army, I'll be proud. But I really think the key to winning this game is establishing some momentum very early on.
Yeah, I mean that's just going to be huge with, like you said, not falling behind. I mean, on the flip side, if you get up on these guys and you're up by 10 points in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes left, and the amount of time that they're going to have to burn off the clock running their offense is
Right.
going to make it hard for them to come back. So on the flip side, that's
Sure.
That's where obviously,
especially on a backup quarterback too. Yeah, that is a good point.
I mean, yeah, if he's playing, then you really like your chances. If you get up protecting the lead, even as bad as our defense has been. But we talked about it last week. Talked a little bit more in depth about Capone and his future here. And I think it's pretty hard to argue at this point that we should retain him. It just feels like the amount of letdowns and losses and just that's probably not an area that Coach Morris can continue to hope things will change. But on the flip side, I think you look at the safety situation, and man, like last week I was looking back watching, it's like the safety trio, the three safety spots. This going into the season, we thought it was going to be Akeem Young, Evan Jackson, Sproles, BJ Allen. Who else? Jaden Hill, Javen Anderson, like all these guys who we thought were going to be the guys going to the season. They were basically none of them were available this last week. And you were going, playing true freshman walk-ons, and just, guys, I think we had both, two walk-ons starting. I don't know about Evan Jackson, but, Jaden Hill is supposed to be back this week. That should help. He's been, a decent player for us, but even
I love Jaden Hill this year. I think he's been pretty standout.
Yeah, he has. He's been solid. And look, if we're going to, whether we're going to run a 3-4 or kind of a 3-3-5, whatever we run against Army, the safeties coming up and making plays is going to be paramount, and making tackles. Like these guys are talked about, like, understandably, when you're going down to your like third and fourth string safeties, they're probably not going to be great in pass coverage, and that was true. That was the case.
Sure.
Um, you don't have to worry about that as much this week. What you do have to worry about is guys who can come down and tackle, and obviously Jaden Hill has the size, and he's 6'1", 205. Like he can excel in that area, or at least just kind of keep guys from breaking off long runs and being way out of position, being able to help. So yeah, I think the safeties coming down and being able to tackle against this offense whenever they're running the triple option. Look, you've the thing with the triple option is you have to account for guys who may or may not be getting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't account for guys who may not be getting the ball, then when they get the ball, there's no one on them, and that's not good. So, team defense and knowing where your help is at, like those things are going to be extremely important this week. And like I said, I just think Jaden Hill's a big guy who I'm going to keep an eye on this week. Of like, can he come make some of these plays and run support? Can he, on 3rd and 3, when they pitch the ball, can he string that running back out wide and prevent him from getting the first down? Those kind of things are going to be huge this week because like you said, they're going to move the ball, they're going to run for yards. It's going to be hard to generate negative plays, but can you at least be ready for when they pitch the ball, that they don't have a nice corner to turn and run up the sideline for big gains?
Sure.
Can you at least keep them within areas where you can get your help defenders to prevent it from going for too many yards? So that's gonna be big. Defensive line obviously as well. Rod Brown, I thought last year played pretty well against Navy. He gave us a chance on 3rd or 4th down stop. I know it's different opponent, but obviously similar offense. The game that we ended up losing by 3 points, we actually got a defensive stop to get our offense the ball back down 3 and had a chance. And then, Chandler Rogers took at least one big sack that I remember. And then, we weren't able to go in and score. But Rod Brown's another guy who I think, should have a chance to make an impact in this game. And, hopefully we can keep guys fresh, keep good rotation going, because that's going to be a lot to ask of the defense this week. Switching to offense, we talked about it last week, but man, I think we just really need to get some kind of consistency at running back of like early on establishing the run, whether it's Porter, McGill, Sibley, whoever it is. Like, we have to be able to run the ball with more consistency in the first half. And not just, right now our yards per carry is pretty good, but it feels like it's mostly been, popping big runs here or there, but the consistent run production on, 1st and 2nd down hasn't been great. So that's something that I'm looking for offense. How about you? What are your thoughts on, when we have the ball this week?
Yeah, this is one of the best defenses in the country. Like I just said, I think you can definitely point that we're the best offense they faced. So I think it's going to be interesting matchup wise how that all pans out. Obviously, getting Damon Ward back recently was like just a nice little spark of life in the offense. Not that they really needed it, but still just nice to have him out there. I also agree. I mean, all you can do is just kind of yearn for what if we had just a couple of our running backs healthy. I don't know if that alone is enough to change the outcome of the last 2 games, but looking at how many guys have made an impact this year, you really wish you had guys like Ragsdale and Demaje out there, just Jawan Price, like just guys kind of everywhere that at least obviously we know what Ragsdale can do. He's been here for a while, but the small sample size we got out of Demaje Harris and Jawan Price, I mean, both of them looked like really solid, stable running backs. And those are guys you would really, really like to have in such a physical game like this. But I mean, that's definitely going to be a key. I think we'll have some success passing the ball. I'm going through Army's, teams they've played. They haven't faced any explosive offenses. I mean, they haven't played Navy yet. I mean, I'm just like going through their list of wins. I'm not trying to knock them down. They're a good team. I've always kind of pointed out that like the way you beat bad teams matters. Like you look, like I just referenced Indiana. Indiana is a team that like, if you were able to go out and just like run through the Big Ten right now, and score 40 a game and average 17 allowed or whatever it is. Like, you have to have talent and good coaching and experience and all that sort of stuff to uh, dominate teams like that. And that's kind of what Army's done this year. I mean, Jeff Bunkin's an experienced head coach. They've got experienced guys on both sides of the ball. Like, this is a team that is well composed and won't make mistakes to give you a chance in this game. So you got to set it up for yourself. And when you're missing so many running backs like we are, that's a big red flag. Obviously, now it hurt us in the Tulane game for sure, because I don't even know what our running stats were that game. I don't want to look. We did not have really any success on the ground. Memphis, it was fine, but yeah, absolutely. I think that if we can get a guy like Shane Porter to kind of step up and, maybe end up with 75, 80 yards, that could be the difference maker in a game like this. So for sure, the running back position is the one I want to see kind of break out the most on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I agree. One thing that I would be interested to see if maybe this isn't the week to bring it out, or maybe there is no week to bring it out. But the last 2 weeks, Chandler Morris has had some really impressive touchdown runs.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help but wonder, if we maybe incorporated him in the running game a little bit more, if that would help open things up for the running backs. Seth Luttrell used to talk about, running the quarterback. That is, the good thing about running the quarterback is you're playing 11 on 11. The guy running, everybody's blocking for that one guy. Whereas, quarterback hands the ball off, it's kind of like 10 on 11. Quarterback's not really doing anything. I struggle with this one. Obviously, I think the most important thing is to keep him healthy, because whether you're running him or not running him, if you do not want him out of the game.
No.
But so you have to be smart about it. But at the same time, you see him like that run he had against Memphis, the 49-yarder, where he, had just dashed and just really made a huge critical touchdown run in that game. It's like it's like having the Corvette in the garage, but you never actually take the keys off the ring. Like, you've got that element, and in a game like this where you kind of need a win, and it has a chance to be sort of a breakout win for Eric Morris, or kind of a signature win. I'd be curious to see if maybe we see that wrinkle. He did mention this week that in his media availability that Chandler Morris is healthy, like fully healthy, fully good to go. So,
sure.
He's obviously a smart runner. When he runs it, he gets down. He doesn't think twice. If he feels like he's going to get hit, he goes straight down and doesn't matter where he's at on the field. So, I think he's smart about it, but that's something that I think I want to see us kind of add a little bit of wrinkle into our offense, and, make them account for him running the ball, because just strictly trying to run the ball with our running backs, I think, has been a struggle lately early on. And I think part of it's been, the offensive line shuffling and just every single week having a new lineman in a new spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Jet Duncan was playing left tackle last week. The week before that against Memphis, he was at right tackle. And the week before that, he was at center. I mean, it just can't, has been constant shuffling all over the place. So, that'll be interesting to see, whatever offensive line configuration we come out in, just being able to run the ball is going to be huge. And, I've said that probably 5 times now in the last, couple of minutes, but, I really do feel that way. Throwing the ball, though, I feel really good. Like I said, I think getting Damon Ward back and like actually looking like Damon Ward has been huge. It looked good. Like, there were times where we really struggled to throw the ball on the outsides, and luckily when you have DT Sheffield, it kind of makes up for it. But when you have DT Sheffield on the inside and Ward on the outside, like that's pretty lethal. And like you said, I think this is going to be a week where we're gonna make them defend a quality of offense that they haven't had to so far, and they're probably going to be up for the challenge to at least a degree, but you also have a chance to kind of make them work. The one game they gave up a lot of points. It was in garbage time. I was watching it when they were playing ECU, and ECU, like I said, it was garbage time, but ECU, put up 21 points in the fourth quarter, and they were throwing the ball, and maybe it was backups. I don't think it was backups for the whole thing, but ECU really had some success throwing the ball over the middle of the field against Army. And, I'd be interested to see if we can't do the same thing, especially with Sheffield, and then at this point in the season, I mentioned that some of the younger guys are really starting to play like they're vets a little bit. Like you've had some Miles Coleman breakout. Wyatt Young is I'm sure a lot more comfortable than he was at the beginning of the year. Landon Sides has kind of had a little bit of a season where he's kind of taken him a while to get back to where he was at the end of last year, but I think he's about where he needs to be now. So like you've
Sure.
got Oscar Hammond, same thing. Like he's 8 games into his Division I career now. So I think I feel really good about the receiver group this week and their chances at making some plays. Yeah, like you said, Army is a good defense. They are they're first in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game. They're 36th in passing yards per game. So of those two, their less strong strength is their pass defense. So I think we can hit them up, and again, maybe it's a pass to set up the run kind of game, but either way, having some good duality between running and passing would be huge to, like you said, make the most out of these drives count, because when Army has the ball, they're going to possess it for a while, and there's probably not going to be as many possessions this game offensively as there normally are, so you have to really make them count. And sometimes we kind of offensively start out feeling out the opponent a little bit. This is probably a good game where if we can maybe skip that and get straight to the scoring, that would be
Yes.
pretty huge at our chances.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And really quick, just touching on the Landon Sides thing. I mean, I think a lot of us kind of felt like he had kind of breakout star potential this year, and he has not shown that.
Yeah.
But I will say that he, like, in spurts, he's looked good. He's running his routes well. I've tried to keep an eye on him since he's not making such a huge statistical impact in games. I honestly would just attribute that more to comfort and depth for Chandler Morris. He has a little bit of a more familiar relationship with Conrad and
right.
just some other guys. I don't know. It's a situational thing. I don't think Landon Sides is taking a step back or anything. I just don't think he's quite kind of been like the star receiver that we all kind of were
right.
last year he was, besides Macklin obviously last year, he was kind of like the surprise success story on the receiving side. So no, I'd love to see him kind of break out, have a big game this weekend. I agree. I think that scoring first, scoring fast, scoring early, establishing some sort of tempo on offense, obviously key, but that's just obvious. I mean, you want to score first all the time, but this is a game where it really matters.
Right.
I kind of just chalk it up to this feels like shootout. If we both predict shootout, it's going to be like a 17-27 type game. But I don't know, man. I want to have faith in the defense. You talked about Capone. I agree that they're past the point of no return for his schemes just not working. Whether you want to chalk it to an inability to recruit or in-game planning or whatever it is, the defense has to be better than this, and I want to have faith in them. But for me, I mean, it's just all about setting the tempo early and on both sides of the ball, coming out and being able to score on their defense. Their defense is one of the best statistical successes of anybody this year. They're top 10 in rush and passing, I'm pretty sure. I mean, like you said, the one game where they kind of gave up points is in garbage time. They do not let people score. So I know we're creative enough on offense to keep them on our toes, and we have enough guys with speed and good route runners that it may not make a difference for them. But this just feels like a game we gotta strike early. So I am in agreement. This is kind of a prove it game, and I think it's a good prove it game, not in a bad way where you're like, please show me something, but
an opportunity game.
Opportunity, yeah, a nice holiday miracle, good tidings type game.
Yeah. That'd be great. We'd all love Santa to drop a top 25 win under our Christmas
Yeah,
tree.
and they're ranked. Like this is a chance to like get like the signature Eric Morris win. So because right now that win is like I guess South Alabama.
Yeah.
So yeah, beating Army at home, yeah, it'd be awesome. Ranked win. What are they? 21st right now?
I think they're like 19th in one of the polls.
Oh yeah, it depends what poll you're looking at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're kind of ESPN likes to put their college football playoff rankings like front and foremost. So they're 25th in that. They're 18th in the AP, and they are 19th in the coaches poll.
Okay.
So
Top 20. I'll say top 20.
yeah. I mean,
Top 20 team.
yeah,
No, this is you have a chance to not be one of the many teams they have just steamrolled this year.
right.
Again, like I said, the last point I'll make too is just like I know I've seen some UNT fans kind of talk about like, oh, they haven't played anybody. It's like, yeah, that's true, but it's if it was that easy, just like go out and boat race everybody every Saturday, everybody would be doing it. Like it doesn't matter how easy your schedule is, how you win matters.
Right.
And the way Army like schemes for games, their coaching staff, their durability. I mean, all those things lend to how they're able to win games by so many points. It's just like they wear you down, and they are a tough team not to beat, but just to compete with at this point. And I also think it's good for the conference too to have them so successful early on. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is one that's marked on the calendar, and I don't know what I said verbatim, but I'm pretty sure before this little 3-game stretch, I was like, I'd be happy with 1 win out of Memphis, Tulane, and Army. I'd love 2. I'm not expecting 3, but I think I said I'd be happy with 1. And I can honestly, if we can come away with a win Saturday, I'll look back and be like, okay,
Yeah.
6-6-3 bowl bounds. Like, all right, we beat a ranked team. Like, cool.
For sure. Yeah, I think that we both kind of felt like we didn't think we were going to get swept by the in this 3-game stretch, and we're facing it right now. I think this is, like I said, I think this is our best chance at a win, especially if Daly doesn't play. But even if he does, there's a reason why the line is closer on this one than the last 2 weeks. You want to go ahead and give a score prediction? I can.
Yeah, I can just keep circling back to shootout. I mean, this just I feel like at the end of the day, we have a lot of guys who can make an impact in this game in terms of skill talent on the offensive side. I don't think they faced anybody like us. We have not really. I mean, even in a game like Tulane, where we haven't been able to establish the run, we still came away with 37 points and pass the ball well. So, this is an offense that can kind of be like pick your poison, where they have a ton of depth. And even with the injuries we've got, it's just I don't see this as we're not going to score game. It's entirely on can the defense, when they stack the boxes, can they hang with Army? And that's the test that remains to be seen. So I'm going to say it's a scoring battle. I'm sticking with my shootouts. I'll go with a 41-33 Army win. I think they win this one close. I don't think I've picked us to lose all year, and we've won quite a bit. So I'll play it safe and pick us to lose.
Yeah. I'm going to go with 35-34. Last team to get the ball wins. And I'm going to say it's North Texas who gets the ball last. So
Okay.
Yeah, 35-34. That's my pick. I think offensively we're going to do well for most of the part of the game. But again, I think it's going to be a lot of offensive success on both sides, but probably some longer drives that keep the shootout from being into the 40s. But I don't really care as long as it's a win. So
That's right. Win is a win. They don't ask how. They don't ask how many. And if we win, we're going bowling. So just get 6. Hit 6.
Hit 6. Everyone's favorite phrase. All right.
All that matters this week. We'll worry about 7 next week. Right now, it's about 6.
Yep, that's the best part of hitting 6 is that you get a chance to hit 7. All All right, with that, go Mean Green.
Coming green.